Fundamentals of SPSS. We will have a session on descriptive statistics. We already seen how to enter the data into the SPSS. So once you enter the data, your analysis will start. So in today's session, mainly we are dealing with the descriptive statistics in terms of presentation of data through frequency table and graphs, and further summarization of data using measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion and skewness, and also with confidence interval. As we know that descriptive statistics mainly used to describe the measurements we have. So it includes presentation of data with the help of table, graphs, and summary measures such as mean, median, mode, standard deviation, skewness, kurtosis. So this is what all includes. So before you start your analysis, so you have to carry out for each of the variable descriptive statistics. Apart from your required descriptive statistics, if you run a descriptive statistics for all the parameters, you can judge the quality of your data. Are there any error data, whether data has been entered correctly or not? So you can, for some, whatever measurements you have made, first thing you have to check it. You have to clean the data. Say for example, gender, like that, you are using only two categories, male and female, for which you have entered the numeric values for male 1, female 2. When you generate the frequency table, apart from these two values 1 and 2, if you get any frequency, means you have entered wrongly data, so you have to correct it. So it provides a opportunity for you to clean the data. And this is for qualitative, nominal and non-data. For continuous table, continuous data, you can find the minimum value, maximum value, mean and standard deviation. So it provides a proper idea about how your data has been entered. Okay, so in any presentation of data in the results, after having collected the data, we have to present the data. So this presentation of data is done with the help of either tables or graphs. So why we have to present the data is that we have collected a large mass of data. So when you present the data with the help of table and graph, what happens is it reduces the large mass of data into compact form. It facilitates comparison between two or more sets. So we understand pattern of distribution, minimum and maximum value, and it reduces the further. It is helpful for further statistical analysis based on this presentation. So when we want to make the presentation of table data, we can make it with the frequency distribution table, diagrams and graphs. As you know, frequency distribution table, as the name suggests, in this frequency distribution table, it facilitates counting line. Frequency means it is repetition of values. In a frequency table, we find the each of the variable, how many times they are. So when we present the frequency distribution table, it can be a discrete frequency table, it is continuous frequency table, or crossed. So there are three, mainly we are dealing with the three types of frequency distribution. In short, we'll see this, what are the basis on which these tables are generated. Because when we go for, especially for continuous frequency distribution table, it is not easy. Like we have to plan regarding its number of class interval to be included and size of class. Let us take an example of this discrete frequency table. So discrete frequency distribution table mainly prepared for discrete variables such as the nominal and ordinal variable. Let us take, for example, we have conducted a survey. We have measured number of children each of the family. So in order to present this table, what we do manually, this is when manually. You should know the manually also. This is the basic principle. How this is manually when we prepare. In first column, we take the variable under study. In the second column, tally bar, then frequency. We count this tally bar and find the percent. And this, in the first column, name of the variable is undertaken and the values are written either increasing or decreasing or as per our requirement. And we take up the each value one by one. We mark a vertical bar. After marking 4 vertical bar, 5th times it comes, we mark a diagonal. So this process is continued till all the values get exhausted. Then we count the frequencies based on this tally. And then we find the percentage or relative frequency, which is percentage, means each of the frequency is divided by grand total multiplied by 100, we get the percentage. So this is the basis on which. And whenever you present any table, you have to make sure that this is a self-explanatory. Anyone who refers your table, they understood it. This should not require any additional information from you. Means every table should have a self-explanatory title. When you present it in your final report, there should be a title showing what data has been inserted, and each of the variables are explicitly defined like name of the variable here, number of children, frequency is related to number of family. So when we prepare, we get the frequency table in SPSS, what we get is the count like or frequency. So when you report it according to the study unit, like it may be number of family or number of students, number of persons, number of customers, accordingly you have to prepare this. So this is about the discrete frequency. Okay, then we have continuous frequency table. Suppose if you have measured the age of your customers, like suppose you collected the age of your customers like this 46, 28, something like that. So if for this data, what happens is that if you prepare like a discrete frequency table, it will become unduly long. Means for each values you have to prepare the frequency table, which is not feasible. Our purpose of presentation of data is reduce this one without, we have to reduce the data in a such a way that without losing the information. There should not be too many categories. There should not be too less. When we are having continuous variable like this, what we do it, we categorize into groups. That is what we call it as class interval. So this is a particular type of continuous frequency distribution. So this is a typical continuous frequency distribution table. So where the given values are bracketed into groups called as class intervals. So our data has minimum value is 26, maximum is 74. So accordingly, we prepare a class intervals, groups like 25 to 35, 35 to 45, 45 to 55, etc. So each of the group is called as class interval, and each of the class interval there is one minimum value and one maximum value. So minimum value is called as lower limit and maximum value is called as upper limit. You should know this terminology, especially in the context of continuous frequency, because you have to provide all this information. Then only SPSS prepares the continuous frequency table. Otherwise, it gives a discrete frequency table with frequency for each of the individual value. So it is somewhat complicated. So get the continuous frequency table, provided you know the terminology. The main feature of continuous frequency distribution table is number of class interval to be included. See, in this frequency table, we are seeing there are 5 classes. There are 5 class intervals are there, and size of each of the class interval is 10. What is size of class interval? It is difference between upper limit and lower. And average of these upper limit and lower limit, we call it as midpoint. Okay, so the frequency distribution table, what you are saying is this is exclusive class interval. Why it is called exclusive? Because you can see there is a continuity is there. 25 to 35, 35 to 45. So here upper limit of one class interval is lower limit of another class interval. So one upper limit is lower limit of another. There is a continuity between them. Class interval is called as extreme value occurs, it included where it is a lower limit. Say for